Hi, this is Steve Hutchinson with Hutchinson Family Offices, and this video is a little bit different than what we've done in the past. Most of our videos have been surrounding financial markets and what's going on with the economy and certain types of investments that may be more market-related information that you get on a daily basis. I wanted to take a little different direction on this video, and I wanted to talk a little bit more specifically about senior housing and why our company or why our firm is focusing on senior housing and why we believe that over the next few years, senior housing is going to be at the forefront of successful investing. Now, if you're investing in the stock market, you're trying to do a couple things. You're trying to accelerate where the demand is for a particular company's product, say for instance if it's Apple or Amazon, whatever product or service may be. And then on top of that, you're hoping that demographic trends will move that product to a much more solid. That's not really much different than it would be for senior housing. In fact, quite frankly, it's even more solidified in this area. One of the key things about senior housing is to take a look at the demographics. The demographics are really astounding when you take a look at the demand that we see coming on the horizon for senior housing. A statistic that's thrown out pretty handily is 10,000 people every day are turning the age of 65. I turned 65 last year, and I was glad to get my Medicare. Bottom line is that was a great day. Cash flow increase to a point. And the bottom line is that more and more people are starting to turn 65 every day, 10,000. That tells us that the population trend is progressing towards the aging portion of that. Now, senior housing is driven almost entirely by the aging population. When individuals get older, one of the contemplations that they make is simplifying their life. And people used to say, well, downsize, but really mostly it's focusing on simplification. Maybe be in a community where there is more activities that more inclined with what older Americans would prefer to do. You're not going to see me doing whitewater rafting anytime soon, I can assure you that. So I'm mostly looking for not a sedentary lifestyle, but I want to have a nice quiet place and enjoy it, and that's what senior housing provides. The U.S. population, though, when you take a look at the growth of the U.S. population, what you see is that the number of individuals that are over the age of 75 is growing quite dramatically. If you look at 2015, the numbers were about 20%. 20% of the population in the United States was over the age of 75. That's a big number. That's a big number. When you move out to 2025, which is less than 10 years from now, you look at 28, almost 30% of the population will be over the age of 75. So how do investors capture this trend, this demographic move that we're seeing? There's a lot of companies that provide services to seniors. There's a lot of individual services that they demand that are different. And of course, one thing to remember about the senior population is there's a tremendous amount of capital that's behind this particular sector. In fact, the largest portion of wealth is concentrated in this particular baby boomer group. Now, when you take a look for assisted living, which is a little different than senior housing, but assisted living provides a broader range of services. Individuals who are over the age of 85 are the ones who are driving that market. And if you look at, say, today's numbers, we got about 6 or 7% of the population is over the age of 85. But when we go out here in 2030, which is less than 15 years away, you've got almost 10% of the population is going to be over the age of 85. So what we believe is that the demographics are in place for senior housing. Now, one key component I think is something that we really can't overlook is the growth of Alzheimer's. And the problem is that this is a very prevalent disease and it requires specialized care. So when you look at 2010, the number of individuals over the age of 65 that had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's was approximately 5% of the population. Hey, in a couple years, that's going to be almost 6%. In about 15 years, it's going to be almost 8.5%. So the demand for memory care facilities is going to continue to grow. So what we're talking about is a very, very unique structure. We're talking about an investment that has the opportunity to capitalize on demographics and the increase in demand. When we take a look at availability, there is a 4-to-1 imbalance right now. If we look at the number of units that are required per year just to meet the growth of senior housing, it's 96,000 units per year growth. That's a lot of units. And when we take a look at the current growth rate, which is only 25,000. So we've got a 4-to-1 imbalance on that. We also have a significant imbalance on the income side of it, or in other words, what the expense side is. What does senior housing cost? Well, you know, independent living, which is very common, maybe certain limited services such as laundry, meals, socialization, things of that nature. Those facilities run about $3,000 a month on average. You take a look at assisted living, which is another step up in the process. You're looking at housing, housekeeping, laundry, meals, socialization, and then also personal care. You're moving up a little over $4,000 or about $45,000 a year. And then when you look at memory care, which is, I believe, a significant area to take a look at, those services run about $6,000 a year. Now, we don't discuss much about nursing home care. That's largely controlled by the states, and that's not an area or a sector that we're particularly interested in. We like to sit in the other two areas, which the other three areas, independent living, assisted living, and memory care, and really more assisted living and memory care. So when we take a look at seniors housing, we believe as a firm that this particular investment opportunity is very valuable at this point. I think it has a lot of promise. Now, there's a number of different ways to invest in senior housing. We can look at companies that basically own these facilities and then turn around and lease them, manage them, whatever. There are some funds out there that do it. And for investors who meet the accredited investor standard by the Securities and Exchange Commission, we can actually take a look at actually direct investing into the development side of these types of investments into LLC. So one of the things of successful investing is very, very important is you hear this over and over again is diversification. That diversification doesn't mean take your money and spread it around between 15 or 20 stocks, because we all know that when you get up in the morning, you have no more control over the stock market than anyone else does. The market's going to do what the market's going to do. But what you want to do is, as an investor, you want to capitalize on key areas where you can see demand growth clearly in your favor, partner with individuals who have a successful track record in this particular sector, and be able to capitalize on it. Senior housing is just one of those areas. We're very positive on it right now, and I wanted to take this opportunity to share with you some of the background of why we feel that's certain. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. We'll be glad to sit down and discuss it, how it might apply in your particular situation, and what would be the best direction for you to head into. Remember, investing involves all types of risks. So you have to understand what the risks are on every one of these investments you own and how those risks play into your particular tolerance for risk or whether or not it's appropriate. But if you have any questions, please give me a call. Have a great day and enjoy your rest of your week.